UK-France one in, one out migrant deal faces backlash, legal and security challenges in 2025. Alex June-July 21, 2025. Caption. Explore the UK-France one in, one out migrant deal backlash in 2025. Officials debate at 11:20 a.m. BST, the 21st of July, amid protests and leaks. As the UK navigates its immigration landscape in 2025, the controversial UK-France one in, one out migrant deal continues to stir debate, drawing sharp criticism and legal scrutiny. Unveiled by Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Emmanuel Macron earlier this year, the policy aims to curb small boat crossings by returning migrants to France while accepting an equivalent number of asylum seekers with family ties in the UK. However, as of 11:25 a.m. BST on Monday, the 21st of July, 2025, the deal faces mounting backlash, legal challenges from Brussels, and a fresh security scandal tied to a 2023 Afghan relocation data leak. Coupled with the Home Office's £2.1 billion hotel accommodation spend for migrants, this story is reshaping public discourse on immigration. This news article dives into the latest developments, offering insights into one of the UK's most pressing issues today. UK-France one in, one out migrant deal faces backlash, a deep dive into the controversy. The UK-France one in, one out migrant deal, announced in July, promised a groundbreaking approach to tackling the Channel crisis, with plans to return up to 50 migrants weekly to France during a pilot phase. Starmer hailed it as a pragmatic solution to break the people smugglers' business model, while Macron emphasized enhanced Franco-British cooperation. Yet, the policy has hit rough waters, facing resistance from multiple fronts. Legal challenges from Brussels. Brussels has emerged as a significant hurdle, with the European Commission reviewing whether the deal complies with EU law. Reports suggest French officials sought legal approval before the announcement, but concerns linger about its alignment with international asylum standards. Critics argue the policy could face challenges in European courts, potentially derailing its implementation. Starmer's administration remains tight-lipped on specifics, citing operational sensitivities, but the lack of transparency has fueled speculation. This legal uncertainty could force amendments, testing the deal's viability as a long-term strategy. Public and political criticism. Public sentiment, reflected in posts found on X, leans heavily against the deal, with many labelling it a humiliation for Brexit Britain. Nigel Farage, Reform UK leader and a vocal Brexit advocate, has been a leading critic, calling it a surrender to French influence and a betrayal of border control promises. During a recent Channel visit, Farage highlighted the irony of UK payments to France, estimated at £800 million since 2020, while migrant crossings persist. Conservative figures, including Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp, echo this sentiment, advocating for a revived Rwanda-style deterrent over what they deem a weak agreement. This political divide is intensifying as the 2029 general election looms. Practical and political obstacles. The deal's pilot phase, expected to start within weeks, faces practical challenges. The Home Office has not confirmed exact return numbers, with estimates suggesting only 6% of this year's 21,000 crossings might be affected. Experts warn that low return rates could fail to deter migrants, especially if smugglers adapt to less detectable routes, such as lorries or sturdier boats. Politically, the Labour government risks alienating voters if crossings don't decline, with polls indicating 40% of Reform UK supporters might return to Labour if the issue is addressed effectively. The pressure is palpable as Starmer balances diplomacy with domestic demands. Afghan relocation data leak raises security alarms. A shocking revelation has compounded the immigration debate. A major data leak involving Afghan citizens' relocation data, discovered in 2023, but only disclosed recently, has sparked security concerns. The leak, affecting thousands of Afghans who assisted British forces, exposed personal details due to an administrative error, prompting a £400 million secret relocation scheme. Defense Secretary John Healey confirmed 900 Afghans, plus 3,600 family members, have been resettled, with costs potentially reaching £800 million. Security implications and public reaction. The breach has raised fears of reprisals against these individuals, with Whitehall briefing notes warning of potential public disorder. Posts found on X reflect public outrage, with some linking the leak to broader immigration mismanagement. The government's use of a super injunction to suppress details until now has drawn criticism, with calls for accountability growing. Healey has apologized, but the scandal has reignited debates about data security and the government's handling of legacy issues from the Afghanistan withdrawal. Policy response and future risks. The government has closed the secret scheme following the RIMA review, which assessed ongoing risks. However, the incident underscores vulnerabilities in handling sensitive migrant data, especially as the UK expands safe routes under the France deal. Critics argue this could embolden opponents of immigration, while supporters see it as a necessary step to honour commitments to allies. The long-term impact on public trust remains uncertain. Home Office's £2.1 billion hotel spend ignites debate. Adding fuel to the fire, the Home Office's £2.1 billion expenditure on hotel accommodation for migrants, as reported by BBC News, has become a flashpoint. The figure, covering the year to March 2025, reflects the cost of housing asylum seekers amid record arrivals. Senior officials defend the spend as a humanitarian necessity, citing the need to provide safe conditions while claims are processed. Public and political reactions. The expenditure has sparked outrage among taxpayers, with posts found on X questioning the value for money. Critics, including Reform UK, argue it incentivizes illegal migration, while the Conservatives demand a return to stricter policies like the Rwanda Plan. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has countered that the spend supports vulnerable people, but the lack of a clear reduction strategy has left the government vulnerable to accusations of inefficiency. Economic and policy considerations. The £2.1 billion figure, a significant rise from previous years, coincides with economic contraction concerns, with the UK economy shrinking 0.1% for the second month. This has intensified calls for fiscal accountability, with some suggesting funds be redirected to border security. The government's pledge to cut net migration significantly by 2029 is under scrutiny, with the hotel spend seen as a symbol of unresolved challenges. Balancing compassion with control remains a tightrope walk. Broader implications for Starmer's administration. The convergence of these issues, legal battles, security breaches, and financial controversies, presents a critical test for Starmer's administration. With immigration a top voter concern, the government's response could shape its political future. The France deal's success hinges on overcoming legal and practical hurdles, while the Afghan leak and hotel costs demand robust transparency measures. Shifting political landscape. Reform UK's rise, fueled by defections like former Tory MP Jake Berry, capitalises on this discontent. Farage's narrative of lost sovereignty resonates, pressuring Labour to deliver results. Meanwhile, the Conservatives are repositioning, advocating tougher measures to regain ground. This three-way dynamic could redefine UK politics, with immigration at its core. International context. The deal's fate also ties to UK-France relations, strengthened by Macron's recent state visit and joint defence initiatives like nuclear deterrence coordination. However, any failure could strain ties, especially if Brussels intervenes. Globally, the Afghan leak aligns with NATO discussions on resettlement, adding complexity to Starmer's diplomatic agenda. Public sentiment and next steps. Posts found on X reveal a polarized public, with frustration over border control clashing with calls for humane policies. Trending topics like migrant deal backlash highlight the issue's prominence. The government plans an emergency parliamentary session this week to address the leak and hotel spend, while the France deal's pilot phase nears launch. Starmer must navigate these challenges with clear communication and actionable outcomes to regain trust. Expert perspectives. Migration experts suggest scaling up returns could deter crossings, but legal risks persist. Cybersecurity analysts warn of stricter data protocols post-leak, while economists urge a cost-benefit analysis of the hotel spend. These insights underscore the multifaceted nature of the crisis. What lies ahead? As the deal's pilot unfolds, its impact on crossings will be a litmus test. The Afghan leak inquiry and hotel spend review could lead to policy shifts, potentially influencing future immigration frameworks. For now, the UK stands at a crossroads, with Starmer's leadership under the microscope. Whether you're a taxpayer, voter, or global observer, this evolving story affects us all. Stay informed with updates from BBC News, The Telegraph, or posts found on X. The stakes are high as the nation seeks solutions to these pressing challenges. Visit www.iwearanews.com for more trending news analysis.